Well guys, as if I don't have enough things to do, the wife's 4Runner started making noise, engine noise. I'm hoping it's nothing inside the engine. I'm really hoping it's like the water pump, but it doesn't sound too healthy. But luckily it doesn't sound like a rod knock. It almost goes away when you put a load on it. Maybe the normal engine noise kind of drowns out the new noise, but it's kind of a knock that kind of comes and goes. It's kind of weird. I'm really hoping that it's the water pump, but either way, we got to get this thing fixed before it grenades and takes out the entire motor. So we're going to get the 4Runner in here. I got a little stethoscope deal. It's just, here, I'll show you actually. I'm going to try to kind of locate the noise a little bit, at least. One of these guys here. So you put that in your ears, and then that rod on the end, you just stick that on like the valve cover or the engine block or the water pump, and just, it helps locate where the noise is actually coming from. So we'll do that first, and then I think the game plan either way, I think what I want to do is pull the belts off and run it without the belts, because that'll take out the power steering pump, the water pump, and the alternator, and the AC pump. If one of those is making noise, if we pull the belts off, obviously it'll stop. So we'll be able to figure it out that way. So let's get it in here, get working on it, and see what we can figure out. All right, here it is. I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear it, but there's a little bit of like a rattling noise. Like I said, it kind of comes and goes a little bit. All right guys, the valve covers are quiet. Underneath the intake manifold sounds pretty quiet. I can definitely, when I probe down right behind the where the water pump is, I can definitely hear it. I can hear it in the oil pan too. But I mean, sound travels. I'm really hoping it's this water pump. So what I think I'm gonna do is just pull off the belts, run it without the belts, without the water pump turning, without the alternator, without nothing turning, just the motor itself. Obviously we're not gonna run it long, but just long enough to be able to hear, see if that noise goes away at all. Well guys, I found the issue. It's nothing up front. It's not the water pump. It's not the alternator. It is none of that. It is a cracked flex plate. I took the inspection cover off the front of the transmission, and I can just barely see, coming from the holes up to like where it mounts, I can see cracks on a few different holes. So it's not terrible. It's not a terrible fix, I guess. We got to pull the transmission, which with a lift and everything I got, it's honestly not that bad. So I'm gonna order up. Haven't decided if I want to go OEM. If I go OEM, it's gonna be a week before I get the part, unless the dealer in town has it, but they're closed right now, so I'll have to wait till tomorrow. I don't know if I trust an aftermarket one, but either way, we're tearing this tranny out and we're doing a flex plate. Well, safe to say we found the issue. We got crack from that hole to there, 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 and there. It's completely cracked around. I guarantee if I hit this with a hammer, it'll pop out. I'm gonna try it, but I wanna get my new one first. And I've heard of these flex plates, some of the aftermarket ones, not being the same offset. So I wanna keep this all intact, measure everything before I bust that out of there. But the dealer wasn't able to get one for a few days, and the wife needs a 4Runner, so we're going for the Napa one. Well, we got the new flex plate looking good. Everything lines up like it should. Let's go smack this thing with a hammer and see if that center will pop out. Not bad. One hit, that's all it took. And it just came right apart. Look at that. One thing I just noticed, every one of these where the torque converter mounts is cracked too. Another crack there. This thing's cracked everywhere. Well guys, pray to the Toyota gods for me. We got this thing all back together, 100%. We just gotta fire it up, make sure our noise is gone, and make sure this thing still drives. That on the crankshaft harmonic balancer would have not been good. I was just about to fire it up. Make sure your ratchet's off your crank. We are good. So I'm gonna let it warm up. We'll check ATF, make sure ATF's topped off. We'll go drive it, make sure this thing even drives still. Well guys, now I'm baffled. The noise is back, and it's the same exact noise. That flex plate must have not been making any noise because we have this weird rattle still. I don't know what it is. I guess we gotta dig into this thing farther. Well guys, I think I found the actual source of this problem. I think it is the water pump after all. Now, taking the belts off does nothing to do with the water pump because it's run by the timing belt, so kind of sucks. We got to strip the entire front end, radiator out, the entire front end of the engine off, timing belts got to come off. It was just replaced, so I don't know if they didn't do a water pump or they just got a crappy water pump, but it looks like we're basically doing a full timing belt job now. I was able actually to use my stethoscope. I have the front cover, the top cover off here, and with a stethoscope right on the water pump, that was the loudest spot that I could get. And actually I took a screwdriver and I could pry on the actual water pump pulley, and it does move. So I think that bearing is just shot. So let's get this torn apart, get this water pump out, and see if that is the actual problem. Well guys, water pump definitely was the issue. This thing is definitely got a bad bearing in it. So I ended up I just said screw it, and I bought the entire Aisin water pump and timing belt kit. I figured while I'm here, we're just gonna do it all. So we got water pump, timing belt, obviously all the pulleys, the tensioner, and then I did do new thermostat and everything here. Fresh oil change here. We're gonna get this thing brand new again. So all we gotta do, I already swapped out the crank seal also. I wanted to change that out while I was here. So I swapped out the crank seal. Let's go swap out both these pulleys, get the water pump on, get the belt on, the tensioner, and get this thing buttoned back up. First start, guys. If this thing still makes noise, I'm bringing it to the dump. That's it. I've had enough. We're gonna fire it up. We gotta actually go get more coolant because we ran out. I lost a little more than I thought we would, but we gotta get coolant. But for now, we're gonna fire it and make sure this thing runs with the new timing belt. I know I got all the timing correct, so I know that's good. As long as that noise was the water pump, which I am about 1,000% positive it was, we should be good to go. Quieter, but last time it was completely quiet until it warmed up a little bit. So we're gonna give it like 5 minutes to warm up. If there's no noise, I think we're good. Well, it's all warmed up, still no noise. Looks like the water pump did it. We are good to go. Now we do have to bring it off for a test drive, make sure everything with the transmission is good still, because since we did that flex plate, we still haven't driven it. So far so good. It backed out of the shop. Let's go for a little drive, see how it does. Well, it's driving, no weird noises. Everything seems to be normal. I think we finally won. Well, then my wife can have her car back and she can give me back the Power Stroke. She hates driving that thing. It's a huge truck. It's a 4-door long bed, lifted like 6 inches. And she hates driving it. She can finally get her car back. I can finally get back to work on what I want to do, working on the FJ, working on other things. So I'm gonna wrap this one up here. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed it. Why don't you go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one.